to all of you. I am Mr. Shashikant B. Gosavi, Assistant Professor at Civil Engineering Department, Walchand Institute of Technology. I am presenting the online educational resource on recent economic policy initiatives in India. The learning outcomes of this online educational resource are, at the end of this session, student will be able to list recent initiatives of economic policy in India, as well as student will be able to explain the impact of initiatives of economic policies in India. The economic reforms that were imposed particularly got a very big change in 90s under the policy of liberalization. The expansion of the production capacity was output of that, deservicing producing areas, abolishing industrial licensing by the government, and freedom to import goods were several measures which were adopted by Indian government, particularly to boost the Indian economy in global scenario. The privatization of the government-owned business was one of the big initiatives taken by the United Front government, which was attempted a progressive budget which encouraged the reforms, but the 1997 Asian financial crisis and political instability created economic stagnation. Once again, the Indian economy was on the verge of taking some tough measures. The Vajpayee administration, which was under the NDA coalition, one of the biggest coalition government in India, began privatizing government-owned business, including hotels, VSNL, Maruti Suzuki, and several airports which were under the control of Government of India. The UPA coalition government began reducing taxes for majority of the industries. This particular initiative was taken to boost them. It also enacted a fiscal policy aimed at reducing deficits and debts. It also increased the initiative for public works. At the end of 2011, second government of UPA coalition initiated 51% foreign direct investment in retail sector. Try and understand that we opened up our economy for the foreign investment beyond 50% was a major, to a large extent, a threat which was pursued by some of the big scholars which were active into the economy. The second India government opened up the coal industry through the passing of the Coal Mines Special Provisions Bill in 2015. It was a major stroke in the direction of the control of India government and indicating the monopoly of the state over the mining of the coal sector, which was almost ended with this particular step. It opened up for private foreign investment as well as private sector mining of the coals. The India government also in 2016 passed a bill in parliament, particularly to ensure that insolvency and bankruptcy will be handled in a better manner to ensure that people at large will not get in trouble because of this. That was called as Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, to create time-bound processes for insolvency resolution of companies and individuals. Earlier, there was no time limit for all these kind of cases which were running into the court of laws, but this particular bill brought certain control on that. On 1st July 2017, the India government approved Goods and Service Tax Act. Very important and major step. GST really changed the whole scenario of production and services which were taxed at several levels. There were two parts in that. One was going to the central government and one part was going to the state government. To replace multiple indirect taxes with a unified tax structure was there in the mind of Bajpayee in 2000 itself, but it really got converted into a bill in 2017. The base corporate tax rate was one of the very important tool which was supposed to be handled at one or the other time. On 20th September 2019, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced reduction of the base corporate tax rate from 30% to 22% for companies that do not seek exemptions. And this bill also reduced the rate for new manufacturing companies from 25% to 15%. It followed with a very ambitious proposal from the central government to bring in agriculture and labor reforms in 2020. But all of us are quite aware that very recently, in last year itself, the government of India took a U-turn in this particular direction, that because the farmers are not getting convinced about its benefit, these bills were withdrawn. Remember very well, all these particular recent initiatives which were taken by the government to bring change into the Indian economy has laid several milestones in the history in terms of success of India as a powerful nation with good economy. It was the 5th largest economy in the world by nominal basis and the 3rd largest by purchasing power parity, adjusted exchange rates. This was on nominal basis, while on per capita basis, if we will see, India ranks 140th in the world or 129th by once again purchasing power parity adjusted exchange rates. This is really good in terms of its competitiveness with other nations such as China. Although the rate of poverty declined after economic reforms, India at its level is still lagging in several important measures in that direction. Improvement in human development has been less than satisfactory as compared to what was thought about. What were the important priorities by the government in these initiatives? Public sector reforms, infrastructure, agricultural and rural development, removal of the labor regulations, and reforms in lagging states, and very important in terms of pandemics like HIV and AIDS. 2018, India ranked 77th in ease of doing business index. Still we are in the midst, but that is better as compared to what was achieved earlier to that. Index of Economic Freedom World Ranking on annual survey on economic freedom of nations, India is ranking 123rd. So there is a lot of way to go ahead. GDP growth is another important component. GDP grew 5-fold to reach US 2.2 trillion in 2015. India's GDP growth during January to March period of 2015 was at 7.5%, making it the fastest growing major economy. During 14-15, India's service sector grew by 10%, manufacturing sector by 7%, and agriculture by 0.2%. Implementation of GST in financial year 2016-17 also was at 7.6 and 7.1 in financial year 15-16 and 16-17 respectively. Major reforms that had taken place in last couple of years was regarding demonetization and implementation of GST in financial year 16-17. Remember, GST implementation was a major milestone. The Indian economy is criticized as a large increase in inequality, with income share of top 10% of the population increasing from 35% to 57%. However, income share of bottom 50% decreased from 20% to 13%. So it is decreasing rural living standards, rural employment, and increase in farmer suicides. Before COVID-19 pandemic, there were 9 million Indians living below $2 a day and 1162 million living below $2 to $10 a day. Environmental issues such as pollution, which GDP doesn't account for, has also worsened. Kindly reflect by pausing your video for a while. Which of the following is the biggest economic initiative taken by Government of India? The options are given. The best option is, of course, goods and service tax. I have referred these three documents. Thank you very much.